ESL ELD consultant here to talk to you about our board shift in terminology from ELL to ML. English Language Learner, or ELL, is the term used by the Ministry of Education to identify students learning English as an additional language and learning academic content in English, which is not their primary or home language. This term, ELL, has been and will continue to be used by our board when referencing ministry documents and system data. We are now shifting to the more inclusive and accurate term multilingual learner, or ML. Multilingual learner is an asset-based term that the OCSB will now use for referring to students who have linguistic knowledge and lived experiences in more than one language. Many of our students who are multilingual are in the process of learning in English while they learn English itself as an additional language to one or often more primary or home languages. Research on the bilingual brain has shown that languages are not compartmentalized in our brains. Each of us has one language area which holds all the languages and vocabulary we know. I used to think that it would help my students if I encouraged them to, quote unquote, turn off their other languages to try in English only. I have come to understand the illogic of that thinking, as well as the oppressiveness of that approach. By encouraging students to access all of their thinking and knowing and being with full use of their linguistic repertoire, I can actually understand my students more fully, teach them responsibly, and thereby accelerate their learning progress collaboratively with them. In shifting our terminology from ELL to ML, we are taking steps to decolonize our thinking. When we continuously use the term English language learner to refer to some students, we are reinforcing bias and oppressive thinking, such as there's a hierarchy of languages with English at the top, or we are replacing their prior languages with English, or these students come to us as empty vessels ready to be filled with English language and knowledge. This just isn't so. The term ELL can also be deficit-based in that we label students by their need to learn English, and often that leads us to the use of can't and don't in reference to them. They need more English. They can't read or write. They can't understand me, and they don't belong in my class. They don't need to understand the curriculum. Just get them some English. These sentiments are significant barriers to learning and well-being for many multilingual students. Thinking of and referring to these students as multilingual and culturally diverse disrupts these negative biases and reminds us to affirm and incorporate all aspects of our multilingual students' identities and lived experiences into the learning environment and process. They have prior learning. They have lived experiences. They can communicate in ways, and they can learn and they can teach me. When we say multilingual learners, we are more likely to invite, encourage, and normalize translanguaging, or the use of many languages in our classrooms. We can plan opportunities for students to draw on and incorporate skills and knowledge from their full linguistic repertoire. And we can draw on student strengths in other languages to scaffold up for accessing rigorous academic content. We cannot continue asking our multilingual students to leave parts of who they are and what they know at the doors of our classrooms. Let's instead invite them to bring their whole selves into our learning spaces so that we may know them and serve them to the fullest capacity. Thank you for making this shift in your vocabulary and your thinking when you use multilingual to refer to students, colleagues, and friends who speak more languages than English.